Hey friends, Gene Perry here with the Free Hands Academy. Today is Friday, January the 5th, 2024. It's a brand new year and a brand new season of Free Hands Friday. Welcome to 2024. Today I'm going to talk through some short-term and long-term goals that I have for myself. And I've put a few of those out on the Stickist, but I did want to share those in today's session because I'm specifically focusing on the creation of Chapman Stick content on a daily basis. And you'll see that in the form of TikTok videos, posts, reels, shorts on YouTube, on Instagram, and Facebook, and TikTok. So that's kind of a new angle for me. Another thing that I'll be focusing on is training, always training. And a part of that is just kind of best practices. And some of that I've started to cover with hand health in this first week. And so I'm excited to kind of branch out into that. We're going to get into tendons and ligaments the next short here. So while I didn't study osteology, I'm not an orthopedic surgeon, I do know what it feels like after playing for 3 hours and where it hurts. And I have a pretty good reason why. And that is, it's usually in the left hand. That's the kind of 400-pound elephant in the room. But I digress. Some of the other goals would be to focus on live performance. So whether that's writing your own songs or learning covers of new songs, the idea is to get out there in the wild world and to gig and get paid. So I was excited. As soon as I landed back in LA from Puerto Rico, I had a gig waiting for me on the 27th. So that just felt like a sign, and so I'm taking it. And so this year, at least one gig a month, whether it's with the trio or whether it's just on my own. I've already got gigs for January and February, so that's a great start, and I'm excited about that. I'd like to revisit Tappin' Time. I've been out of touch with Claire and with Victor, and so I'm hoping to somehow, some way, find a way to kind of rejuvenate that. This last year was a bit tough. I think we can all agree that the loss of Greg Howard is something that's hard to measure out in words, just how rough that was for all of us, as he was one of our great leaders and without comparison. So I know that he never gave up and Emmett never gave up, so we shouldn't either. I want to focus on local and international gigs. So local gigs in particular, and this is something that Glenn Porman brought up that I thought was such a great point, and that is that it used to be that there were more kind of 4, 5, and 6 person events, and that they would happen more frequently, and that there was no charge. So I may try to do some sort of Chapman Stick potluck at my house here and call it the Southern California Chapman Stick meetup or something like that. And of course, everyone's welcome if you've got an instrument that's not a Chapman Stick. The idea is to play music. It doesn't really matter what you play. It's an inclusive group, right? We don't judge. But the instrument and Stick Enterprises and the whole family is something that I kind of centralize around. And so that's how I kind of branded it, and that's how I kind of refer to it. What else? The tag interface, right? So the tag interface, this is actually a prototype that was designed by Stephen Sawyer, who is a Michigan Chapman Stick player who's also pretty good with the wood. And we'll get into a couple of details of what that looks like for 2024. I've got a lot of positive traction with that, and so more on that later. I've been working with Reverb, the people at Reverb, and a couple of changes that you may see on the site, and I may attempt to try to share my screen here. Let me see if I can do this. This may or may not work. Actually, I'll come back to that. But we're going to talk about Reverb, we're going to talk about eBay, and we're going to talk about the resale of Chapman Sticks. And you know that I've done a number of videos as well as podcasts with Tappin' Time on how to buy and sell a Chapman Stick. Actually, just to buy a Chapman Stick. So maybe we'll get into how to sell your Chapman stick as well, and some ways to get a good price, a fair price, find the right buyer, and to turn it into cash if that's what you want, or to barter. Right? Maybe there's some 10 or 12 players that are 10 or 12 string players that are looking to kind of find some new ground with what they're doing. The last thing on my list is the Zoom meeting that happens on Saturdays, and that's happening at, I think, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that's been a real pure source of inspiration. I've got to see a bunch of friends there that I hadn't seen in a long time. Jim Meyer in particular takes a very active role in that. He leads the Vancouver event and maybe starting up an event in New York this year. I'm not quite sure what the timing on that is, but I'll follow up with him and hopefully have some more details just as soon as that's ready to print. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so for 2024, I've created a TikTok channel as well as a Instagram feed, and I'm starting to create YouTube shorts just to try to kind of proliferate like awareness that there is going to be a daily content source for the Chapman stick. I did run a little bit late on a few days already, like 3 days in, but that's just because I waited till the last hour, just kind of like I'm waiting to the last hour now to post this. So if you or someone you know enjoys getting that type of information on a daily basis in any one of those formats, lead them to the channel, maybe forward that along. That's always greatly appreciated. Likes and comments are still free, last time I checked. What else? Training is something that I've personally been a big fan of. Not necessarily practice, right? So you can break up your time into structured and unstructured time. And so a lot of the time with the more intricate pieces like the Bach and things like that, that requires structured time. So it's like reading for each hand. But I'm always encouraging kind of that more Emmett type of playing, which is just like wild, crazy exploration and finding out what the instrument can do and can't do along the way. Right? Also, a big part of training for me is using dates and actually marking up your manuscript and making sure that you're writing down your goals, and that maybe you make a note to yourself, with like a smiley face or something saying like, nailed that left-hand part or something like that. Just kind of give yourself some momentum. What else? Live performance. I've simplified my pedal board. I'm trying to simplify everything in my life these days. I'm 54, and I just don't have a lot of time to muck around with pedals, right? So as much as I love, playing with pedals, it's been a bit of a distraction for me. So, I've got a couple of pedals that I like to use, and maybe we'll get into that later in the year. But for right now, part of performance for me is just simplify and to follow that kind of practice of two of everything. And then also kind of, I'm playing a little bit more NS stick now. So I'm more firmly in that kind of bass role, which is, kind of fun and also kind of limiting. But the NS, brings, pure joy to that role for me. And so I'm looking to kind of expand on that. And I think that does it for performance. Tap in Time. Tap in Time is the longest running Chapman Stick podcast. And I kind of fell off the wagon this past year. We had a couple great sessions, including a great memorial session for Greg. And I know that we were all very proud of that. And we had an opportunity to share the feelings of a lot of the players that were out at the Vancouver event back in August. So if you haven't had a chance to that, I'll try to include that in the link in the description below. Victor and Claire have done such a phenomenal job with that, and Vic does a lot of that production work, and Claire's really good with all these details, and so it's a great team. But I've just found myself up to my ears in alligators, and not been available as much as I'd like to be. So if there's stuff you want to hear on Tap in Time, if you want to there's someone you want to hear from. I would love to hear from Grace. So, full disclosure, I think she's indicated that she's, that she is, would like to do something like that. So I'll pursue that. Local and international events. I'm looking to go to Portugal in November. So there I said it. Andy and I are looking to go to Portugal. This won't be like a Chapman Stick trip per se. I'm going there with my wife to explore Portugal and to get to know that country a little better. I'm hoping to sync up with Rodrigo Serral. Rod's a great guy, great player, just so knowledgeable about the instrument, and I'm hoping to learn more about fado from him, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And then also I'm encouraging Chapman Stick players everywhere not to wait around for the big events, okay? Like, plan your own event. And you know who's a great person to talk to? This was Dean Kobayashi. So Dean Kobayashi ran the NorCal Chapman Stick kind of chapter, and it was very successful. And JRJ was a part of that. A couple other players were a part of that. And I just loved seeing the videos and all the fun that they were having. And everyone was having a good time. And it was just a great way to get friends together and maybe try a couple of different instruments. And, that can't be... It's not easy to achieve, to bring all these calendars and schedules together, but it is a great opportunity if you want to try different instruments. If you want to get into, that sounds a little better. If you want to get into a 12-string, in case you've only played a 10-string or vice versa, maybe you want to try an NS, Alto, SG12, Railboard, whatever the case may be, create that opportunity. And I plan to do that in June, just closer to my birthday. Maybe that's what I want for my birthday from the Chapman Stick community, is to come over my house for a potluck, and we'll all have some food and play Chapman Stick all day and all night. We'll see how my wife goes over with that. The tag interface. Okay, so introduction to the tag interface. This is called the tag interface because this was created by a gentleman named John Taggart. I'm going to get it right. There, it's something like that. There we go. The tag interface sits atop a cymbal stand right there. And Steve has made a couple improvements on it. Like, this is enlarged kind of nut right here. I think he improved this inner sleeve that it goes into, and maybe tightened up the way these two pieces fit right here. And so the Chapman Stick clips in there really nicely, and his work is just fantastic. And so super duper grateful to Steve Sawyer for bringing this out into the universe. I think he made a couple, but right now it's all in this kind of discussion phase. I did talk with John Taggart, who's open to the idea of, kind of allowing us to use that design. Just kind of working through the details as to what's fair, what are people, able to afford, the types of wood that we'd be using. And then also, Brian Baggett, talking to you, if there was a way to be able to make these in Canada as well, then we could avoid the crazy customs that come along with that. So Brian, also good with the wood. Maybe there's a way to include him in that process so that our Canadian stick player friends have that same opportunity. I guess finally is the Zoom call. So the Zoom call is something that started with Bob Culbertson, and we don't see him as much on the calls anymore, but a great source of inspiration if you're looking to meet some new players and talk about some specifics with regards to the instrument, so you don't have to play that type of instrument to join the call. But if you do want to find out more, that's a great place to start. So in closing, I think that covers everything that I wanted to cover for this first session. What I did want to do is I wanted to look at some of the comments that we got, because we got some great comments from people out there on Instagram as well as on YouTube, and I haven't been following Facebook as much, but a few in particular. We got a great comment from Dave Broski, so also a teacher. He's based out of the Pittsburgh area. Could be wrong, but he's been playing quite a while, and just a big warm hug in our Chapman Stick community. And he's done events with Greg, and does some teaching as well. And if you're looking to kind of an introduction to the instrument, or you've played a while, get some time with Dave. What else? Got a great comment from John Tyler Kent, another great player who was playing with Josh Goldberg, if you remember that, in GIF, a fantastic trio that featured 2 Chapman sticks. So tip of hat to him. Jim Winger, thanks for the good word. Really appreciate what you said about keeping the momentum in our community, and a couple others on Instagram. I like doing the YouTube videos just because they're more lasting, and so I think it's important to do TikTok, Instagram, and these shorts, but kind of the lasting impact is with YouTube videos. We can reference these later. The metadata just kind of adds up, and it's just a great means for me to provide kind of short and long-term resources for Chapman Stick content. Oh, Brian Baggett. Yeah, I got a comment from Brian Baggett. So Brian, when you're ready to talk about the tag, John Taggart's, wide open to what that looks like. I think we were also talking to Carlos Ray. He was a part of that. So that whole crew's going to meet up and we're going to talk it through. If there's other people that are working with wood and that want a piece of it, I know that Eric Gray is pretty busy these days with his guitar work, which is phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, find him out on Instagram. And who else? Oh, I got a nice comment from my friend Paul. And Paul knows a thing or two about music and drum playing and just like good structure and foundations, and really appreciated what he said. And Paul does a lot of work in mastering, and just a stand-up guy. Tip of hat to you, Paul. Oh, and then the last comment that we got was from an individual named NASA Payroll System 8701, and he asked if I'm going to talk or play. And it looks like I'm going to talk, although I'm not, above doing some playing. I've done that in probably hundreds of other videos. I think the question really is will the NASA Payroll System channel be around next week? You're using the NASA logo and the NASA namesake in the name of your channel. So apologies in advance to your 29 subscribers. Maybe like and comment below if you think that channel will be around next week. Maybe like and comment on whether Luca should get a cookie. Hey, Luca, you want a cookie? Yeah. Let me know in the comments if you think Luca should get a cookie. I think he should. He's a good boy. We're descending into silliness now. Listen, if you stuck around this long, thanks so much for sticking around. Really appreciate it. Look forward to your comments below. No extra charge for that. Let me know if there's something that you want to see in coming up sessions. And enjoy the new year. All the best from Freehands Academy. See you in the next one.